Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra Ingerman, and welcome to the Shaman's Cave.
And I'm Renee Baribeau, and we're happy after our short vacation to be back with you. Hope you got a chance to catch up on some of the replays. And of course, we hope that you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and share the Shaman's Cave with your friends, because we all need messages of hope and inspiration and tools for navigating this, let's just face it, crazy time that we're in.
Yeah, I get the Shaman's Cave emails, and so um, it's just amazing. People who have been studying shamanism 20, 30 years, almost as long as I, um, just on these little shows that Renee and I do, the thank you, the deep, deep felt, heartfelt thank you of having a place to come to, whether you know the material or you don't know the material, but just to have a place to be held and inspired. And Renee and I have a sense of humor, and it's very important. People are doing a lot of summits on indigenous prophecies now, and some of the prophecies, as you know, can be quite dark. But if there's one thing, all people, all humans, I don't care what race you are, where you come from, all humans talk about that their ancestors taught them that in times of challenge, you have to laugh. You must laugh if you're going to survive. So it's important to remember to have some sense of humor. I know that a lot doesn't seem funny, but if something's funny to you, let out a good belly laugh and you'll heal the planet and yourself at the same time.
Yes, if you have not taken one of my courses, the opening ceremony is always a belly laugh, and everybody turns off their, we unmute everybody, and it starts out like with a ha 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 ha, and then by the end of with everybody laughing and you hear it all, and I don't know how it comes through on Zoom, but we're all laughing, 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 and then we call to the winds, and they love to come because they're like, oh, this is a party, wind party, we're coming, and 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 so we cannot lose our sense of humors.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot to lose their sense of humor about right now. Renee and I actually, before we started to talk, we spent 40 minutes catching up. We haven't talked to each other for a while. And we keep talking about sometimes our catch up conversations, we should just turn into a show
I know.
because they're quite interesting. But one of the things that we were talking about is this is a really tricky time. It's a really tricky time for many different reasons. One reason is people are so stuck in, to me, I know Renee's going to have a lot to say. One reason for me is that people are so stuck in their egos, and egos hate change. They hate change. It's unknown. Everybody wants everything back to normal. I heard about an airplane company that's just flying people, not letting them off the plane, just back and forth because they they miss flying so much. As we're talking about climate change and cleaning up the seas and the airs, our ego wants change but doesn't want change because we don't want to do anything about it. The times are calling for change. And so, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to think about what kinds of changes are possible right now. What's possible in what we've done to the environment? What is actually possible for us? And I have a plan, but we'll leave that for later. And what choices do you want to make? Because actually, there's no wrong choice in any of this. I many years ago, and I talked about it on the Shaman's Cave, I brought through a group of spirits called the Ancient Ones. They didn't stay with me that long. They stayed with me for a few months, but they really help with my healing process on an emotional and physical level. And emotionally, they help me with my deep despair over what's happened to shamanism, spirituality, um, how it's just through its popularity has lost its power, has lost its magic, has lost its beauty, has lost so much of its honor. And the ancient ones, number one, they said to me that the magic will be there when people need it. So I feel good that there's going to be a generation that finds the true teachings again. And I love that. And the ancient ones said to me, you know, you're not actually humans, are actually not here enough to make a difference on the planet. In the time of the earth, you're not even here for a blink of an eye. So when we start getting all riled up and when we start making choices and when we start dreaming, think about the possibility that you're here for 5 minutes. And what do you want to do in those 5 minutes? It's interesting to think about time like that. You're here just a blink of an eye. What do
Right.
you want to do?
5 minutes, that's like giving us giving us a couple of ancestry lifespans, really, if you think about it. Yeah, and we were talking about choice, and Sandra and I don't totally agree everything politically because I don't know, I kind of trudge through the world, looking out over my passageway here, thinking to myself like, oh wow, am I lucky? And last week when I got here, a couple weeks ago or whatever, I couldn't see the water for a week. And and I realized, oh, I can't run far enough away from ourselves. And so there's a place where, sitting there engaged hour after hour in the news, what so many people do, and reading all this Facebook stuff and, all of the places we get our mind bending stuff, when really, when we look with our heart out towards nature, I wouldn't have to be watching CNN to find out that there's something going on in the passage right in front of me. But how do I want to choose to be in that moment? And the truth is like we get to choose every single day. Like, what choice am I going to make right now? What's the next indicated thing? Yesterday, there was a friend of mine who was, wanting to leave a bad work situation. And she threw out a demand to this new company. And I'm thinking, like, I just said to her, you're choosing to stay stuck where you are because why on earth would you say, I need this? Like, when you're like in this bad situation and here's like a new door opening. I said, if you get ready that you want to really change jobs, you let me know and I'll put in a good word for you. But like and I know I had to go kicking and screaming myself into a new, better opportunity because we just cling to what we have, no matter if it's an abuser, bad air, all of this. We hate change so much. And yet, a week later, the passage is clear. But does that mean COVID is gone, or, and I'm mixing my metaphors, but, I tell people every time they start talking about this COVID thing, I said, it's not going anywhere. We now live in a world where there's a virus available to us to shut us down at any given moment for any given length of time. And how do we still live our lives with a generous heart and spirit?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, we've gone way beyond the COVID at this point. Everybody's still fighting about the COVID, and there's a lot about the COVID going on, and um, and there's a lot of dishonoring of life going on with the decisions being made, And that's always, anytime you dishonor life, that comes back at you at the same time too. But now people are moving in. We're in America. I know this is a global community that listens to the Shaman's Cave, but in America, we're moving into an election that is scary for people. And so people are doing deep work. I really appreciate the deep work that people are doing. And some people are just acting out. And just acting out isn't what we need right now. Just screaming at each other, just screaming is not going to create anything. It's not going to create any change whatsoever. And again, we have to look to our ancestors and different spiritual traditions. I look to shamanism, but I also look to other spiritual traditions of how do you get through times when we're really being challenged. What can we learn? And what has been taught for so many thousands of years is you don't abandon your spiritual practices because you don't like what's going on in the or not in the ordinary world. You increase your spiritual practices. You get out there and you do ceremony every day. Uh, Not once, you do ceremony every day. You pray every day. You do inner reflection work every day to see what you're projecting into the world, because the world is just the projection of your inner state of consciousness. This is big. I know people want to go out there and be activists, and you should. I really support that. But there's also big activist work that has to happen on the inner levels. And that does create change. It's not woo-woo because it's been working for over 100,000 years. So which is woo-woo? Um, I want to know which is woo-woo when something's been working for over 100,000 years. It's just a question. I'd love for somebody to answer.
I know. I say the same thing about, what is a conspiracy theory? Like, what's the difference between having an alternate reality and an alternate point of view and everyone labeling it, that's the conspiracy theory. Well, to me, it's all one big fat illusion anyway, and it's all a conspiracy theory against our egos. And so, like, I just can't. What I do is I read all like, I don't read, I trust me, I'm more out with the trees and more in with my own stuff. But then I will read all the way from the left to the far right. And, because I know that there's probably a piece of truth in each story. There's
Mhm.
stories. We love to tell stories. We've been telling stories for a long, long time. Last week when I did the dynamic winds of creativity, you know, I go back to the creation stories to find out how we've been creating over and over and over again in throughout these, times where humans have been on the earth, because we don't know if dinosaurs created. I don't, but maybe they did. And but there is so many strands for a better future out there to pull from. What are you pulling from? So we had a little exercise that we thought we would do today. And Sandra, do you want to lead it, or you want me to lead it, or how do you want to do this? We didn't discuss that part.
We didn't discuss that part. Is uh, is this the doors?
This is the doors. And this is our doors exercise. Like, which door are you going to walk through? Who was it? Monty, what's his name, who used to do it? And I pulled, when Sandra and I started, I pulled a wind for each door. But I'm not going to reveal what the winds are until after Sandra leads us through the doors. And we're hoping that afterwards, you'll come over to the Shaman's Cave, the group on Facebook or on the YouTube below, because a lot of people comment on YouTube, is that tell us what door you chose. And I'll let us know before we hang up what wind came for each door. How's that?
Well, Um, yes, it sounds good. So I just have to give you a little bit of history because the way Renee and I talked about doing this exercise is where you're not going to have a bunch of information. You're just making a choice. But so I at least have to give you the setup for it.
Right.
The setup is we all are being given choices right now. We're all being given choices right now. I live in a body. I have a disorder, and every day I have a choice to smile or cry. Every day I'm given that choice. Every single day. We're all being given choices every day for how we want to react to what's happening in our life. And there's the choice of we live on this amazing, beautiful earth, and the indigenous people have been talking about the simple life as the solution. And we live on a gigantic planet with so many people, so opinionated, and there are people who really want to get out there and fight. And it's all right. Everything is part of your destiny, everything is your soul's calling. So there are going to be different choices about dimensions and ways of living that we're not all going to make the same choice, and that's okay. We have the right to live that 5 minutes of our life in the way that our heart is calling us to. So Renee is going to be holding up 3 doors for us, and I would close your eyes and go into your heart. We're not giving the doors a label because we don't know what choices you're facing right now. We have no idea what choices you're facing right now, but there are going to be 3 doors. And you want to let your heart, not your mind, never let your mind, never let your ego guide you through a doorway. Always follow your heart through a doorway. And when Renee talks about these doorways, which doorway is calling to your heart that you're going to walk through without knowing what's on the other side? That's that's how this exercise is different than something else we might lead.
So it won't be until after you go through the door that I will let you know what wind is going to assist you on your journey forward through that door. But your experience of whatever, we're kind of curious, like for whoever picks doorway 1, 2, or 3, if you come over and share about it, we just kind of, it's like a little curious test to see if you have similar symbologies, or if there's, if there's really these portals that we get to choose, and which one you might have picked and what are the experiences around there. It's kind of like a blind test. I love it.
I feel like I'm being given a blind test every day.
I know. Well, you get to pick a door too.
But there's something magical about that.
I know. It's so much fun. And you could, if you don't like that door, you can come out and go in another door, right? We'll
That's
see.
right.
So then want me to lead the closing of the eyes, and or you want to do that? Either of us
Yeah,
are good with that.
I can at least do that.
Okay, she's going to lead us to the doors.
Okay, so everybody close your eyes. And let's take a few breaths. Put your hands on your tummy and make sure your breath goes all the way down. Because one of the things that we're all really dealing with right now in this time of stress is our breath is one of our tools to be able to help us right now. Because our breath changes our body, it changes our mind, it awakens our heart, it awakens our soul. So as you breathe deeply but without effort, no efforting. Just letting your body know what it already knows how to do. Your body knows how to relax. It knows how to feel calm within just by moving that beautiful wind in different directions and gently and healing and bringing colors and beautiful energies to the organs in your body that might be hurting right now, or to your heart, which might be hurting right now because of an event happening in your life. And as you feel your breath is moving, not in a frantic way, because we're not in a rush, just slowly, effortlessly, in a very natural way, just like your body was born knowing how to do. Let the winds of your breath touch your heart and say, your heart knows. Your heart knows everything. And your heart is here to help you right now. Your heart is your true ally. And as your heart is your true ally, let it move forward to one of those three doors. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. It's all effortless. Your heart knows. Your heart knows. Walk up to the door and open the door and walk through. And just feel, look around you, open up your senses, listen. Listen to the life that's beyond that door. Listen, feel, sense, see. It's all filled with beauty if you expand your perception, because whatever door you chose is leading you to a place of growth. And as long as you're growing, you're alive. And as long as you're growing, you're contributing. So observe all that's around you. Feel it, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it. And Renee will read the winds.
So I have 3 different wind whistles here. So I'll tell you what wind and I will blow that wind in for you. So if you went through door number 1, it's Shu, the ancient Egyptian god of separation. And you can read more about this wind in Winds of Spirit. But this is a very interesting wind for those who walked through that door. So you might want to breathe in this wind if that was the door you chose. And since we really want you to experience these winds, more for yourself, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but maybe later in the Facebook, after a lot of you tell what door you walk through, I will share a little bit more about the wind. This is crazy. The winds that are coming up in each door, it's just another, these are the ancient winds. So Shu came for the people who went through door number 1. Enlil came for door number 2. And if anyone knows about the Mesopotamian wind of destiny, breathe in this wind of destiny. Wowsy, wowsy. And for those who went through door number 3, we got big Omai, the Sami wind of signs.
Mm.
All three of them are like powerful, powerful winds. So we're going to invite you over to the Shaman's Cave or below here on the YouTube channel. And after you subscribe and sign up for our list and all of that, please tell us what door you went through and how you experienced those winds that came along with those doors. And let's have a conversation about which door you chose.
That was beautiful, Renee. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to hear about the doors too. Doors are, there's such mystery and magic about walking through doorways. And it'll be interesting to hear about the mystery that you're tapping into and what your heart says about it, because your heart knows why you picked that. It picked it. So why did your heart pick that door? So subscribe to the Shaman's Cave and tell your friends and family and community about it. And we just keep walking forward together. We're just going to keep walking forward together.
Thank you, everyone. And I look forward to telling you what door I went through.